CEO Kenneth Lewis testified that he was told to keep quiet about billions of dollars in losses at Merrill Lynch before the company's merger. This, as Lewis faced intense pressure from the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve to complete the deal for Merrill Lynch. Kitty Pilgrim has our report.
A bombshell letter from New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo's office to the SEC and Congress. It says last December, then Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson and Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke threatened to fire Bank of America CEO Ken Lewis and the bank's board if it pulled out of its merger with Merrill Lynch. They said abandoning the merger would mean systemic risk to the financial system. At the time, Bank of America was concerned by what it called the staggering deterioration at Merrill Lynch. CEO Ken Lewis testified he first told Paulson he wanted BOA to pull out of a proposed merger last December 17th. He was summoned to Washington that very night for a closed-door meeting. 4 days later, Paulson made the threat to remove the board and management. Lewis responded, "Let's de-escalate this." The letter states that Secretary Paulson largely corroborated Lewis's account, but also said he made the threat at the request of Chairman Bernanke. The Federal Reserve denies it, saying no one at the Federal Reserve advised Ken Lewis or Bank of America on any questions of disclosure. Lewis also testified before Cuomo in February that Paulson and Bernanke put pressure on him to stay silent about Merrill's losses. "I was instructed that, quote, we do not want a public disclosure." Andrew Cuomo charges that throughout the process it appears the SEC was kept in the dark and demands greater transparency in decision-making. The merger resulted in devastating losses for Bank of America. Those losses eventually triggered a federal bailout of $20 billion for Bank of America and huge losses for Bank of America stockholders. Today, the White House declined comment.
In many ways, the account is the account is something that our guys weren't involved in as it took place last fall.
Congress today met with the head of the Troubled Asset Relief Program without commenting on the letter. Neil Barofsky, the Special Inspector General for TARP, later released this statement. "As our investigation is ongoing, we cannot comment on the details of the disclosure made by the Attorney General earlier today." Now, Attorney General Cuomo's letter says the SEC, the watchdog agency for investors, was kept in the dark. Treasury Secretary Paulson admitted he did not keep the SEC chairman in the loop. Now, the SEC has indicated that it will have a statement soon, Lou.
A remarkable development and transparency. Ken Lewis, one of the nation's most respected bankers, with many questions about his performance and the understanding, whether it be the bonuses that were approved for John Thain and the CEO of Merrill Lynch, going ahead with a deal that ultimately was revealed to be deleterious to the interest of the shareholders. All of that unexplained and carried squarely on the shoulders of Ken Lewis. A remarkably unfair approach taken by the Treasury and the Fed.
Yeah, it certainly is. This is, of course, a developing story that a lot more has to come out about what actually happened, but it seems that he really he was pressured by government officials.
All right, Kitty, thank you very much. Kitty Pilgrim. President Obama